Hi, everyone. And this one comes from our user, Tanya F. So I'm really not into haunted houses or anything like that. So when my family moved into an older house, I didn't even look forward to unpacking my things, especially my childhood stuff. There was just something about the place that made me uncomfortable. Anyway, my daughter Lily, who was 7 at the time, was pretty excited to start unpacking. She brought up all of her favorite childhood toys from the basement where we had stored them. As the days went by, more and more boxes were unpacked and put away. The last one was an antique wooden chest which belonged to my grandmother. My mum had given it to us, saying it contained some old toys and clothes for Lily to play with. I told Lily that she would have to wait until the next day to open it because it was very heavy. She understood, so off to bed she went. In the morning, I helped her drag the chest out of the basement and into the living room. We opened it together, and what we saw inside brought back so many memories. There were old Barbies, a rocking horse, books, and other assorted toys. Lily picked up this rather ugly teddy bear. It was sitting at the bottom of the chest, covered in dust. Its fur was matted, its nose was missing, and one eye was hanging by a thread. "Ew, what's that?" Lily asked, holding it up for me to see. "Oh, that's just an old teddy bear," I replied. "You can throw it away if you want. Can I keep it?" she asked. "It kinda looks like it needs a mummy to love it again." I smiled at her and said, "Of course you can keep it. Why don't you take it upstairs and clean it up a bit? We'll give it a facelift." She nodded and ran off up the stairs. We didn't think much of it after that. That was until about 3 weeks later, when I was tidying up in Lily's room and I saw the bear sitting on her bed. "Did you clean it up?" I asked her. "I sure did," she replied proudly. "I cleaned its fur, mended its eye and nose, and now it has a new butt." I could tell that she had done a great job, but I still wasn't keen on keeping it in the house. "Well, thank you, honey, but maybe you should store it back in the chest in the basement." "But Mummy, it's a new bear," she protested. "Why do you want to put it back down there?" "Because it's just an old, dusty bear, sweetheart," I explained patiently, "and you don't need it here." But she wouldn't budge. She wanted to keep it in her room, so I let it go. One night I was getting ready for bed when I heard Lily scream from upstairs. Startled, I ran to her room and burst through the door to see the bear sitting on her bed staring at me. My heart skipped a beat and I felt like I was going to faint. But then Lily started laughing. "Gotcha, Mum," she said, wiping tears of laughter from her eyes. "That was scary," I replied, trying to calm my racing heartbeat. "Where did you learn how to do that?" "What do you mean?" she asked innocently. "How did you get the bear to move?" I asked her, but she just shrugged her shoulders and went back to playing. I figured that she must have rigged it up somehow and went downstairs to watch TV. The following week, Lily was playing in her room while I was doing some Suddenly, I heard her scream again. This time, it was a loud, blood-curdling scream. I dropped my iron and ran to her room. To my horror, the bear had fallen off the bed and was lying on the floor. But that wasn't the scary part. The thing was wide awake and staring directly at me. My blood ran cold and I couldn't move. Then it did something even more terrifying. It stood up. Slowly, it got off the bed and ambled towards me. With each step it took, I took a step back. Before I knew it, it was right in front of me, and it reached out its long, hairy arm. I screamed and backed away until I hit the wall. I tried to push past the bear, but it wouldn't let me pass. Then it did something that made my blood run cold. It stood up on 2 legs and swiped at my face. I shut my eyes tightly and waited for it to rip my face off. But instead, I felt something wet and slimy land on my cheek. I opened my eyes and looked down to see that the bear had licked my face. I stumbled back, horrified, and fell against the wall. Then it did something that made me want to throw up. It stuck its long, hairy tongue out and rolled it around in my hair. I screamed and pushed at it. Finally, it stopped and collapsed onto the floor, letting out a loud growl. Lily came to the top of the stairs and shouted, "Get out of here, Mr. Bear! You're scaring Mummy!" It looked up at her and then turned back to me. It opened its mouth and said, "Hello." I froze in fear. What did it say? It actually spoke, and it wasn't a high-pitched voice, but a low, raspy one, like that of an old man's. Before I could respond, Lily shouted, "Don't listen to him, Mummy. He's just a stupid doll. He can't talk." Then she ordered the bear, "Go to your room." It got up and, without a word, shuffled out of the room. I stood there stunned until Lily said, "Mummy, are you okay? You look white as a sheet." I forced a smile and nodded. "Yes, I'm fine," I lied. "Let's go downstairs, shall we?" But she shook her head. "No, I want to play with Mr. Bear." I felt sick to my stomach, but I didn't want to upset Lily, so I stayed in the room with them. The three of us played together for hours, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Every time I blinked, Mr. Bear seemed to move. I thought it was my imagination, though. Since no one else seemed to notice, then it happened again. It was late at night, and I was lying in bed next to Lily. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but I kept having nightmares about Mr. Bear chasing me around, trying to kill me. Suddenly, I felt something wet and slimy on my face again. I opened my eyes to see Mr. Bear standing over me, licking my face. I slapped him. "Don't touch me," I shouted. He growled and stepped back. Then he did something that made my blood run cold. He climbed onto the bed and stood at the foot end, staring at me. "See, Lily, it can talk," I whispered. She turned over and mumbled, "Yeah, whatever." Just then, Mr. Bear climbed onto the bed and ambled towards us. He climbed onto the pillow beside Lily and nuzzled up against her. "He wants a hug," she said, with a big smile. "No, he doesn't," I whispered frantically. But before I could stop her, Lily hugged the bear. Then it started to speak in a deep, demonic voice. "Finally, I have found my prey." Lily's smile widened. "You're so silly, Mr. Bear. You scare Mummy because you're such a big baby." Then she hugged him again. I was so relieved. Thank God she didn't know he was evil. Or was he only after her? Was that why he had come to our home? As soon as the sun came up, I got rid of the bear. I threw him in the garbage. And since that day, I haven't seen or heard from him. But sometimes when I blink, I swear that I see him standing in the corner of my eye. Maybe it's just my imagination, though. What do you think? Thanks for listening. And if you like this story, please share it with others. See you next time.